the day of affliction, and welcome again to the Bible Christians of God. Those of you that are joining us in the midst of this high day, we are observing a double Sabbath. The high Sabbath does take precedence, and today being the Day of Atonement, we're on the day side of the affliction. Nevertheless, we must carry on the weekly Sabbath duties. And today we're continuing in our series, The End Time Prophecy in Motion Phase 2. Now, last week we dealt with the animal sacrifices to the temple. We put on on Facebook dialogue table the significance of the animal sacrifices, and they're trying to build a temple. All of this in turn is leading to the last days, or in the last days. And I just wanted to bring this up, which is the 2300 days of Daniel. Just wanted to flash that right quick. I'm just flashing that right quick. All of the temple sacrifices, the animal sacrifices, rather, the temple, all this is leading to the 2300 days, y'all. Okay, so we got a good reference. So with that being said, this is phase 2, however. Phase 2, and what we're doing strictly in phase 2 is we read the scripture and we're actually listening. Like today, we're going two legs. We're going audio and visual. We're going to listen to things that are concerning the biometric aspect of it, because today is called the shadows of the mark of the beast. It is on its way, y'all. And everything that's transpiring in society now is taking us to the mark of the beast. They're getting ready to implement biometrics. Matter of fact, biometrics is at play right now. If you have a driver's license, they're getting into all manner of communications, your TVs, your cell phones. Everything is either now being affected by biometrics. We're going to look at that. And this biometrics is setting up the implementation of being chipped. Right now, everybody's depending on their cell phone to do this or do that. We're going to look at that. And we're headed for a cashless society. But before we go there, here's what I want to do. I'm going to go to Revelation 13 chapter and verse 16. Because all of this is setting up at the problem, because we're in our affliction and we're in the midst of fasting. So pardon my voice if it goes south for me. Can't drink no water today. Anyway, during this time. So we're going to go to Revelation 13 chapter, because all of this is taking us to the mark of the beast, and we're looking at how he's putting everything in play. He's setting the system up. I mean, literally today's subject matter touches every last one of us, and it's going to decide whether or not you're going to take the mark of the beast or not. It's going to decide how you are affected when the man is sin, the Antichrist rise up and declare himself God. And there's so many other things in this series we have yet to touch on, and it is coming. Because we're going to keep an eye on the seat of the beast. That's coming up in this series. Nevertheless, also during this coming week, we would like to dialogue about the subject matter, because this is far-reaching. I see it even on my job. I had to badge in and badge out at my job, my new job. I put it like that. And then badging in and badging out, guess what's coming? Eventually, I'm going to have to chip in and chip out. Guess what? Houses, we're going to look at this. This stuff is happening full-blown, and biometrics is just the basis for what they're imposing, and eventually it's headed for the chip, and we're going to hear and see. That's why I watch and pray, y'all. This is what we're doing. We're watching the scriptures, and we're praying that we're able to escape these things, and then we're going to see and hear today scripture coming to life, y'all. And this in particular right here, we want to read Revelation 13 and verse 16. Revelation 13 chapter and verse 16. Because we are well aware that the Great Tribulation period is going to be 3.5 years. We're well aware that there's a temple that's going to be built. Man is saying he's going to sit in that temple. We're well aware that they are getting sacrifices in play as we speak. But this part right here is being worked on also. So Revelation 13 chapter and verse 16. This is what the man is saying gonna do, y'all. Go ahead. Revelation 13 chapter and verse 16.
Verse 16.
Mm-hmm.
And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand, or in their forehead. Verse 17. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name.
Now, how's this guy going to do this? How's he going to be able to do what? Cause all, both small and great. So no matter how little you are in your own sight or how great you are, then it says both rich and poor. How is he going to cover this? Both free and bond, and receive a mark in their right hand, notice, or in their foreheads. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Go ahead.
Verse 18. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. What is the number of a man? And his number is 666.
Now this is serious, y'all. Or sell, save he that had the mark. 666. How is he going to enforce this? Now, you receive this mark. Let's go to Revelation 14 chapter. In verse 9. Because we're going to look at this stuff coming out the play. This whole series is a little scripture, and a lot of watching the scriptures come to life. Okay? So you know somebody that don't like to read a lot of books, but they like a lot of video. This is a lesson. Okay? They like, yeah, we're going to read a little bit and watch a lot and listen a lot. Today, last week, we just had only video. This time, we're going to play some audio too. And those of you that are in our conference call room, bear with us because I know the conference call audio might not be as quality required as you would like it. But those of you joining us via Facebook and listening to us on YouTube, watching us on YouTube, you're going to get a better audio quality. Okay? So read Revelation 14th chapter and verse 9.
Verse 9. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God.
Now this beast is swallowing up society wholesale. He's going to be able to cover the rich and the poor, you know, the free and the bond, all of this, y'all. Go ahead.
Which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb.
So if you receive this mark, what did it say you got coming? You got the wrath of God coming, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Go ahead.
Verse 11. And the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever. And they have no rest day nor night to worship the beast in his image. And whosoever received the mark of his name.
See, this is what's going to happen to whosoever receives this mark, y'all. And they're setting it up where it's going to involve and include everything to your car, your refrigerator. Okay? We're going to see this stuff is implemented all over the workplace, hospitals, even talking about chipping babies, y'all. But they got to get the biometrics in place first. But read the next verse.
Verse 12. Here's the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God in the faith of Jesus.
But see, the saints are they that do what? Keep the commandments of God and have the faith of Jesus Christ. And that's what the Great Tribulation period is going to be about, taking those that are the saints. And let's go to Daniel's right quick. Daniel's 8th chapter. Daniel's 8 and 23. Mm-hmm. Cause we dealt with how the man sin, he gonna stand in his temple, but this is what he gonna be doing, y'all. Read.
Verse 23.
Yeah.
Verse 23. In the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce continence and understanding dark sentences shall stand up.
Yes, sir.
Verse 24. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people.
That's why it's going to be a great tribulation period for 3.5 years, really 3 years, hardcore, then the Lord going to drop his wrath. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 25, and through his policy.
And through his policies. We're going to get into this as we get to the rise of Sodom and Gomorrah and the rise of the Antichrist part, how he's going to impose, but he got to get this biometrics in place. The beast, which is the fourth beast on the rule of earth, which is empowered right now. He's getting all his chips in all his systems in place. So he can track you whether you rich or poor. So that's why I say, and through his policy, he also shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall what? Go ahead.
And he shall magnify himself in his heart.
That's 2 Thessalonians 2nd chapter. Go ahead.
And by peace shall destroy many.
And see, by peace he shall do what? Destroy many. Go ahead.
He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand.
And we're going to get a little more closer look at that in part 3. It's going to be part 4. I'll let you guys know. Well, we're going to take a close look at what the seed of the beast is doing. We're looking at the shadow of the mark of the beast, and then we're going to look at the shadow of the seat of the beast. We ain't saying he is in there right now. I ain't saying we ain't giving no absolutes. We're going to lay this book in front of you, and we're going to let you discern for yourself what's really going on. Okay? Like I said last time, we ain't saying this is today. You know, we ain't saying it's happening next year or the Lord coming back in 2 years. But as we go through the scripture and we're going to listen to video and audio, you discern what the times are that we're living in. Okay? That's all the intent of this phase 2. Phase 2, scripture and watching scripture walk off the page into our news reports, to our everyday life. Some of us have seen companies start chipping people. Some of us are already biometrically being tracked right now. Right now. So that being biometrically tracked is not the mark of the beast. Let me state that too. Okay? Being biometrically tracked. Because if you got a driver's license, they already get a lot of biometrics on you. Okay? So let's get now. I'm going to go ahead into audio right quick. Let me bring up audio first. And this is I'm like, wow. This is how they're making it look very, very convenient, y'all. Very, very convenient. And I want to bring up this news report right quick. Audio. I'm going to play this audio. Make sure I got the right audio. Because then it's even going to the NFL. I'm going to bring that up a little bit later. But I want to bring the future of biometrics on the table. Here we go. Let me play this. So this is how they're going to do it. Oh, hold on, wrong one, sorry. Here we go, right here. Because it's headed for a
Here's a scenario that they're going, you know what, things can get hacked all the time. Will mandate retailers accept legal tender, and City Councilman Bill Greenlee called it an issue of fairness. But others say much more cities such as New York, San Francisco, and Washington, D.C. are considering similar bills. So to break this down, what this means for our future economy, I have bring in legal and media analyst Lionel. And I mean, I'll have to ask you, did you even get a debit card, or are you still one of those that do you have a checkbook and cash that you pay everything in? No.
Sorry, that's the wrong one, y'all.
Good morning, Mr. Barnett. You see that? No need for keys or cards, codes or fingerprints. The future of secure access solutions is happening now. At FST Biometrics, we believe that secure access shouldn't interfere with the pace of life. Our solution.
Now, this is biometrics, okay? They're just laying out how biometrics is going to cover a lot of things, how they identify. If you notice, the guy just walked in and a computer spoke to him. So here we go, y'all.
Utilize a fusion of biometric identification technologies to provide secure access that's seamless and non-intrusive. Our in-motion identification technology, known as IMID, is able to identify authorized personnel from a distance and in motion, and intelligently address tailgating. It's amazing how simple it is to use. Just take one photo and opt in. And then your identity will do the work for you. IMID is an identity management system and not a card management system. With IMID access, corporate environments become a secure open canvas. As authorized employees are granted seamless access to company facilities, allowing them to maintain a fast corporate pace without any of the hassles and delays of outdated access systems. IMID enables employees to be identified at any company facility around the globe. Visitors also enjoy an efficient and seamless access experience with IMID's VKey, a unique encrypted QR code used with smartphones. IMID solutions can also enhance customer loyalty. Once the customer is registered and opted into the customer club, the IMID will instantly identify the customer upon entering the store. Salespersons can then view the customer's preferences and buying history, and then offer them relevant deals, ensuring the customers a more personal and efficient shopping experience.
Now, if you notice, the one I wanted to bring up is the one that affects 99% of us, your job. You know you got to get your bread on. So they're going to hit you there. Some of us at our job already, we badge in, we badge out. Computers require passwords to come in and come out, to log out rather than log in. They're going to be implementing biometrics. Some jobs already have, like especially the ones that pay decent. They get heavy biometric implementation, so that in order to get your bread on, you got a chip, you got to biometrically get in and buy. You know, they know when you're coming in and when you're coming out. Now I want to switch over to a video right quick. We're gonna bring a video up shortly. We're gonna bring up some news reports. Matter of fact, I want to bring this one up. Okay, ready. Now this city here,
The city of Lund in southern Sweden dates back to medieval times. Over the centuries, it's witnessed plenty of change, but now there's a whole new sort of evolution going on. I'm here to meet some of the thousands of people in the country.
You gotta turn it up. On the remote. On the remote. Please turn it up on the thing. Max. Okay, I bring it up from my phone. Now this is a whole town, y'all. in Sweden. And what I want to do here is we'll come back to that video because I want to go to this one right here. This one right here is cashless society and how China's the move they already. Let me bring this up.
So, how often do you actually use cash?
Not much.
Here in China.
Now think about that, y'all. How often do you actually use cash? Now, I've been around for quite some time. I'm saying I'm over 50. Anyway, and those of us that was in the 60s and 70s, we knew cash was, was king. But there's a phenomenon that started to take place. We started using cash less and less and less, and we start going to the card more and more and more. There's a transition that's going on through life, y'all. The children that are 8 years old now, 5 years old now, the world is going to be very, very, very vividly different by the time they hit 30s and 40s, okay? A card is going to be like, really? You giving me a card, man? What, are you serious, dude? Because by then, biometrics would have taken over. And I want to just make sure we understand that. So that this rich and small, free and poor.
I want to know why anyone would want to do this.
Let me go ahead. Let's do this.
In China, a city many refer to as Silicon Valley East, cash is quickly becoming a thing of the past. People aren't pulling out the plastic much either. All over China, more and more consumers are going all mobile all the time. And they're not doing this using screen after screen of apps. They're mostly using just two mega apps from two Chinese companies. They're also collecting almost unfathomable amounts of consumer data. In this episode of Moving Upstream, we explore what's behind this made in China phenomenon and whether it's poised to sweep the planet. Soon after crossing the bridge from Hong Kong to mainland China, we realized the extent to which we're outsiders. We see everyone everywhere scanning QR codes, paying for food, transport, and consumer goods with their phones. Since we don't have a Chinese bank account,
Now notice, everything is being done by a phone. Now, if you look at the generation nowadays, the high schoolers, hey man, I mean, dad, it was totally different when I was in high school. A cell phone, child, please. Nowadays, you try to take that child's cell phone from him, you just took his word. Okay, so I'm just showing y'all how it's getting closer and closer and closer to where everybody's dependent on devices. All this is feeding and it's taking us to what? Where this man can cover rich or poor, small or great, free or bond. Okay? All this is real time, real life action scripture coming to life in prophecy, in motion, and we're living in these things right now. We are living this now, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and continue to bring this back on up. Here we go.
when in Shenzhen, we couldn't do as the Shenzhenians. My colleague Matt McDonald and I needed a guide, someone to show us what this pay with your phone business is all about. Naomi Wu, one of the more eccentric members of Shenzhen's tech community, agreed to be that for us. To meet her at her office. It's one of those co-working spaces.
We're headed to the snack bar.
All right, I'll take one of these. Here at this co-working space, payment with cash or credit cards isn't an option.
When I'm working on a Raspberry Pi project.
Naomi, at 24 years old, is a tech developer and internet personality. We chose her because she promotes Shenzhen's tech lifestyle. Naomi also identifies herself as a maker. What do you make?
I make, in my video, I make tons of impractical things.
Impractical things.
I always do things as a proof of concept.
In February, Naomi will grace the cover of the tech world prestigious Make magazine. Okay, so she's not your typical Chinese person, but she says the way she uses her phone is. In 2016, Chinese consumers spent $9 trillion in mobile payments, dwarfing the $112 billion spent in the US. Do you have cash in your purse right now?
I still have it, I still think it's emergency. Sometimes they don't have the changes to give you and you have to wait.
So annoying.
Yeah, so annoying.
The first stop on our adventure, lunch.
Notice what it says about cash. It's annoying. When I was little, child, please, you better have cash. Nowadays, some of the kids is purchasing stuff. They ain't had no cash in their pocket when they did that. How are they doing that? So, this thing is spreading, y'all. The young, the old, the older didn't phase out and the new is coming in because these are all shadows of the mark, y'all. So they can control it.
Buy the meal before we go.
Well, why are we paying for the meal before we even go to the restaurant?
Because it's a little bit cheaper than paying there. If we pay at the rest, maybe we save like $3 or $4, and then.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit frugal.
To get there, we could rent a bike.
I'm going to scan the QR code on the bike. So the code is 3232.
Let's go for a ride. Naomi says bikes aren't her thing, so we decided to call a taxi. Using, again, the WeChat app. Taxis here don't take credit cards. They do accept, indeed prefer, WeChat Pay.
你好.
Naomi showed.
Now, let's talk about Lyft and Uber, y'all. Hello? Cashless. You got to have a phone to pay them. Lyft, Uber, some of the other favors, some of these other. Notice what society is going on. And we're talking here and now. Small or great. Are we seeing this picture envelop society as it grows? Now, like I said, biometrics is not the beast. We do not have the mark of the beast just because you're paying your Lyft ride from your phone. Or you gotta pay with Uber from your phone. This ain't the mark of the beast, but it's all getting us prepped. It's preparing us. It's conditioning of society's mindset to be prepared for this stuff, y'all. I'm gonna let it play. And we just warming up. We went overseas and we're gonna see some that's come on the morning news. And they talking about some of this stuff, y'all. Listen.
Our prepaid reservation, and we hit the buffet. One thing that's feeding the Chinese appetite for mobile app payments is food. According to mobile payment leader Tencent, in China, 3/4 of fast food purchases are made using mobile. One company is reimagining the grocery store experience. Alibaba's Huma supermarket harnesses China's QR code scanning culture. Every product in the store is scannable, even the crabs. Find out where they came from, add them to your favorites. So later, from home, you can order them for delivery. What do you buy most often? The app knows, allowing it to serve you personalized recommendations. And it's all linked to Alipay.
Now, I want to state this. Notice the convenience factor here. I mean, it's really nice to know you can just order a car from your phone. You can order your food from your phone. Some of us have got that going on right now in your house right now. Right now. I ain't telling y'all something new, but I'm just letting you know how this conditioning is in play full bloom as we speak, okay? And this conditioning is the shadow that's taking us to the day when that Revelation 13 chapter is gonna hit. And guess what? If you off the grid, you good. But if you in the grid, they're gonna be able to track everything about you. Everything. Let me go ahead and let this play out because it's got a lot in this one. Wow.
Our colleague Lisa Lin visited a Huma in Shanghai.
The significance of Huma is the fact that mobile payments has given rise to a whole new set of business models or industries in China that would never have been possible in the West.
Puma, which has announced plans to open 2,000 more of these supermarkets, is also an example of how mobile payment platforms in China are creating ecosystems that are about much more than just the final transaction. In the early 2000s, Alibaba launched Alipay to facilitate user transactions on Taobao, the Chinese equivalent of eBay. Around the end of the decade, Taobao introduced its mobile wallet features to let Alipay members transfer money to one another or split bills using QR codes. Good timing. That was right when the number of mobile users in China began to skyrocket.
One of the biggest reasons is the fact that smartphones in China are really cheap, and that's made the smartphone really affordable for the masses.
And many people began finding themselves in China's supercharged economy with more money in their bank accounts and began linking those accounts to Alipay. Not many Chinese people had credit cards. One factor, Chinese authorities made it difficult for Visa and MasterCard to get a foothold there. In 2013, Tencent got in on the action, bringing mobile payments to its wildly popular WeChat app. In just 3 years, the newcomer has grabbed up 40% of China's mobile payment transactions. This was the year before Apple announced Apple Pay, which, in terms of users, is now way behind its Chinese rivals.
With Apple adding payments into iMessage, that's out of the WeChat playbook.
Here's what intrigued us: the made in China innovations happening on these two platforms. Naomi uses both WeChat and Alipay. Alipay mainly for online shopping on Taobao.
This is live.
Yes, this is live.
It's like the home shopping network meets Facebook Live.
If I don't like the color, I don't like the color. You have,
Naomi asks to see the color she prefers.
so she's going to try it on for us.
That's just one feature of the app. Taobao and WeChat are now platforms in which dozens of app functions are rolled into one.
Now, apps on our phones. See, they're putting apps, you get apps on your phone, I got them, you got them, and they're convenient. See, the convenience factor is developing and is becoming more entwined in our social fabric of everyday life. Everyday life. So we can see, as we keep listening, it's Revelation 13 chapter, far from being fulfillable. See, they put biometrics in play so that when it's time to do the next thing we're going to move on to, I want to go now to over here in the U.S. Let me pull up this piece video. We'll pull this video up. This video, what's the name of the video? You got it? That's what I'm mentioning. Scroll down. Because this is on the CBS News. Do we want to go to this one yet? Biometric. This is. Oh, not yet. Not yet. One more audio before we go there. Is America moving to a cashless society? We went overseas. So now we're going to go here. Here we go.
Many times you won't get it. That's because a lot of people don't carry cash anymore, and they're not grabbing credit cards either. Instead, that's getting one for change for $20, and many times you won't get it. That's because a lot of people don't carry cash anymore, and they're not grabbing credit cards either. Instead, they're using their smartphones. 13 News Now reporter Erin LeBeau takes a look at the trend that could lead to the dying dollar.
Hold on, I want to see if we can pull this up on the video. Go into the cashless society. Pause this for a minute. Go back a little bit. The cashless society. America moving toward the cashless society. Click to the front. Up the upper left corner. Upper left corner. Right there. Yeah. Click on that. See if we can pull this up on that video. Is it coming? Go to where it says library. Because we went overseas Now we're gonna see some companies here in America that are being affected by this, y'all. It'll start. I want to bring up Sweden. Is that coming up? Okay, we just went on that video. I will listen to it. Here we go. Reset. Here we go.
That's giving it for change for 20 bucks, and many times you won't get it. That's because a lot of people don't carry cash anymore, and they're not grabbing credit cards either. Instead, they're using their smartphones.
Okay,
The News Now reporter.
We can get the video. You click on it right there. This is in the news stuff, y'all. Stuff that's happening on. You probably seen some of this stuff in the news. Some of us probably missed it. But the Lord said, watch and pray, y'all. Yeah, we want to bring this audio. We want to bring this video up.
For change for 20 bucks, and many times you won't get it. That's because a lot of people don't carry cash anymore, and they're not grabbing credit cards either. Instead, they're using their smartphones. 13 News Now reporter Aaron LeBeau takes a look at the trend that could lead to the dying dollar.
What's in your wallet?
Just my debit card, my ID. I have nothing in there. I carry very little information. Credit card and cash.
It's a question I posed to people on the streets of downtown Norfolk. I found that very few people actually say cash. People are relying more and more on paying for things mobilely with their smartphones.
But I trusted Apple Pay because I've used it before.
Apple Pay, Venmo, and Google Wallet to name a few. All are mobile payment apps that allow you to pay for things by flashing your phone.
I honestly didn't trust it at first, but it's proven itself to be a reliable source to pay with. So I think in the future it might even make debit cards obsolete.
According to a study by strategy and research firm Javelin, mobile payments are expected to grow in the U.S. from $180 billion in 2016 to $410.5 billion by 2020. In 2016, 25% of U.S. smartphone users made a mobile payment once in 30 days. That's up from 12% in 2014. And with the increase of mobile paying, could the dollar be dying?
I think the main reason is that it's convenient, it's efficient.
According to Newport University economics chair Gian Pradhan says the idea of a cashless society isn't anything new.
We have to obviously acknowledge that there's been a huge expansion in the way people are using these electronic payments and things like that.
But here's why he says in the U.S. mobile payments won't completely wipe out cash. 1, it's expensive. 2, security concerns.
How many times have we heard about these unauthorized hackers getting into a bank accounts, even though, the financial institutions are continually working to prevent this sort of thing, this fraud? I mean, it's not easy to do.
And lastly, he says there are privacy concerns.
When you use your phone or your smart card or whatever to make purchases, people are going to know what you buy. They're going to know you. And so your buying habits become sort of public.
So in a world.
So right there, key word, they're going to know. Now this is what, 2 years ago now? Yeah, about 2 years ago. So we're in 2019, y'all. And a lot of us knows y'all, that the significance of buying things with your mobile app on your phone is your household probably swallowed up in cell phone transactions. Okay, I know my sons, my daughter wants a cell phone. She'll get it but you know it's coming. But everybody living it and transacting and they're tightening up security with biometrics. The ability to monitor, do face, and the security concern. That's an older video. That's 2016. I think it said 2016, 17. We're in 2019. They're tightening that security thing up big time, y'all. And we're gonna look at a little more of that. But go ahead and let that point back to.
World where cell phones continue to replace things like the alarm clock and cameras, when it comes to spending money, experts say cash is still king.
We're going to continue to see the increase and proliferation of electronic payments and even e-money. I think it's sort of unreasonable to think that we're going to move to a cashless society within the next 5 or 10 years or something like that. I think it's going to take much longer.
I'm Erin LeBeau, 13 News Now.
Okay.
So handing someone your phone is like handing them your money. You just heard the experts right there. Paying with your phone is convenient, but it's also risky. Police in Charlotte are warning people about these cash app scams. The scammers ask if they can borrow your phone to make a quick call. Once you hand it over, they open any cash transferring app on your phone, then transfer your money into their accounts.
Simply handing someone an open phone, I would suggest to anyone do not do that because there's too much private information contained on that phone.
Here's what to do to protect your money. Go into your cash transferring app and make sure there is a PIN required before sending cash.
All right, so let's go on to the next one.
That's giving away for change for 20 bucks, and many times you won't get it. That's because a lot of people don't carry cash anymore. And they're not grabbing credit cards either. Instead, they're using.
Okay, now we're going to move on to the ripple effects of a cashless society. Hold on, okay, now come back. Go up to the right corner. Go up to about a YouTube number. Yeah, go to right next to it and click on it. Don't click on YouTube, next to it to the left. So now what we're going to look at is this guy actually breaks down an audience. An audience, y'all. He breaks an audience down and show you just how biometrics is affecting each and every one of us as we speak. And then we're going to move, about 5 minutes, we're going to move on to the chipping aspect of this. Once biometrics is set up, the next level is the chip. So you got to have the biometrics in place so it can be responsive to the chip. Everything in stages. Satan is mimicking God. God says everything in decent and in order. And Satan, the book say he is like God. He is going to exalt himself as if he is God. And when he said this man in place, it's going to look like he is God to the whole world that is bookless. They're going to be like, man, this guy in the temple, he made fire come down from the sky. He made the image come to life. He is God. That's why you see people out and following the blessings. Look at the blessings he's blessing us with. He's God to be God. God is him, or God's in him, or God's in him. However they're going to swallow, they're going to take the bait, y'all. So right here, you see the one there, because it was, I just put it in there. The whole world going to swallow the bait. Yeah, yep. You got it? Okay. Watch this, y'all. Switch. Good.
You know, 50 years ago, cash was used in 80% of U.S. domestic transactions. Today, that figure is much closer to half. Increasingly, we're relying instead on various forms of digital, mobile, and online financial platforms, everything from credit cards to iPhones. And the decline in cash isn't limited to the United States. In fact, we're not even world leaders in the Sweden holds that title. Yeah, this is hard to believe, but even the homeless in Sweden are starting to take credit cards. That's true, absolutely true. Now, to support themselves, many homeless Swedes saw a magazine called Situation. And here's a picture of the credit card reader that they actually use to accept donations. Right? Wow. And the declining cash occurring in plenty of other places too. For example, buses in London no longer take cash. France, this is amazing to me, France has recently banned its citizens from making cash transactions over €1,000. Right? That's barely more than $1,000 these days. Somaliland is one of Africa's poorest countries, but that hasn't stopped its citizens from adopting advanced digital payment systems. Cash in Somalia has become so devalued that it's almost impossible to carry enough of it around to buy almost anything. Look at this. There you go, right? The solution? Street vendors there routinely accept payments via mobile phone. Somali phone owners use their phones to make an average of 34 financial transactions a month. Now that's more than a day, and it's actually one of the highest rates in the world. Once you start looking for it, evidence of the decline of cash is everywhere. Just the other day, for example, my lovely wife Linda, just the other day, my lovely wife Linda went to the post office to buy one stamp. Now, don't get me started about this, because who the hell goes to the post office to buy one stamp, right? Well, she's out there, so we should raise her hand, right? That says she does. Perfect example. Anyway, so she goes to the post office, waits in this long line to buy her one stamp, and then hands the clerk a $20 bill, right? I'm not kidding. The clerk just looks at her and says, "Lady, haven't you got a credit card?" So anyway, what's driving this trend away from cash? It's being driven by the triumvirate of consumers, governments, and business. Consumers looking for convenience, governments looking for efficiency, and businesses are looking for what they always look for, profits. But the rise of the digital economy has a very dark side for one occupational group, street criminals. And that's because it's replacing cash. Believe me, no one laments cash more than drug dealers, burglars, carjackers, and armed robbers. This is my world. It is my world. I spent my entire working life hanging out with active burglars. Active street offenders. Not in jail, but on the streets, and sometimes in my office, but please don't tell my boss, because I feel they really won't like that, okay? So that's what it is. Why are street criminals so partial to cash? They're partial to it because it's the fuel that drives their criminality. Here's a brief lesson on the journey from birth to predatory street crime. Virtually all would-be street criminals are born into truly awful social circumstances, and they grow up witnessing plenty of violence. Here's what a local street offender has to say about his upbringing, and before I play this, I should say that the voices have been changed to protect the guilty.
I grew up with shooting and fighting all over. You're a professor. You grew up with books. Where I'm from, you never know if you're going to live 1 minute to the next. You die every day. You can go to sleep and hear gunshots all night, man. All night. Ambulances and police cars and ride through my neighborhood, man.
Growing up in conditions like
did y'all hear that?
These loosens their ties conventionally.
Did y'all hear that? That right there. Who neighborhood is that, child? Do we need to talk about that? Who neighborhoods put gunshots, sirens of police, and violence, y'all? Who? Let's marinate on that, okay, y'all? Those of us that read the book, we know who we talking. We know who he talking about, okay? Even though he changed his voice, but the conditions prophesied in the Bible to happen on a certain type of people is exactly what he just described, and that guy confirmed it. So let's further listen.
Society, essentially setting them adrift and making them vulnerable to the allure of street life. It's a common refrain amongst urban mothers that they fear losing their sons to the street. That's just not an irrational fear. Many of them, in fact, do end up losing their sons to the streets. The imperatives of street life call for the hedonistic pursuit of illicit action, especially hard drug use, but also illicit gambling, illicit sex, all these things that feed on themselves and constantly call for more of the same. Yeah, on the streets, the idea is to live life literally, and I'm talking literally here. Literally as if there's, no tomorrow. Let's listen to the next street offender here.
You living that, where you chasing dope, chasing women, chasing gambling, all that chasing, you gotta pay for it, you hit? Ain't nothing free, gotta keep that train moving, gotta keep that party going.
This kind of life can only be sustained through regular infusions of cash, which in turn can only be sustained through predatory street crime. Here's what another offender has to say about that.
Look, I ain't gonna sit around and wait for something to drop in my lap. Ain't gonna give me no job, right? Well, I gotta use my head and my 32. I need to get the real stuff, the dope and the cash. I get what I need and I just keep it going.
The problem, of course, is that as fast as offenders get their hands on more cash, they turn around and spend it with reckless abandon in this desperate attempt to quote-unquote keep the party going. But mind you, this isn't a suburban get-together over a few drinks. It's a never-ending struggle to sustain the unsustainable. Because remember, these are very poor people trying to maintain a very expensive habit. Let's listen to one last street offender, and on this occasion I'm going to have to ask you to please excuse the language.
Just got to look, so fuck, or whatever. It don't even matter. Whatever you see, you get. Shit, wasn't used from the giddy up, so you can't act like careful with it. Wasn't used to care for. Easy come, easy go. Shit.
Oops.
Traditionally, we try to fight street crime by improving social conditions, but we haven't had much luck. We still have poverty, many urban schools are still a disaster, and there are still plenty of dysfunctional families. So disillusioned by our inability to reduce street crime by improving social conditions, more recently we've tried to fight a so-called war on drugs. Let me just ask you out there in the audience, does anybody out there think we've won that war? I don't see one hand. I don't see one. Okay, let me ask a different question. Does anyone out there think we have any chance of winning that war? No, I still don't see any, I don't see any hands at all. Okay, anyway, in thinking about this, I started to wonder whether we've been focusing on the wrong thing. Now, I grew up in Southern California, which is fire country. And one thing I know about fire is that if you want to fight it effectively, you have to starve it of fuel. Well, cash is the fuel on which street crime burns. So maybe we should focus our crime prevention efforts there by getting rid of cash. In a lot of high crime neighborhoods, a lot of the cash on the street used to come from welfare payments. People got a welfare check, and because most of them didn't have a bank account, they ended up cashing that check at a local check cashing place, and then carrying the money around with them in their pockets. And you know what? Then something interesting happened. In the mid-1990s, the federal government decided to streamline the welfare payment system. Congress mandated that every state had to replace welfare checks with debit cards by moving to a program called EBT. Now, for welfare recipients, this meant no more walking around with a pocket full of cash because the card itself could be used to make payments. So what's great about this is it meant that, the EBT program removed a certain amount of the cash circulating on the streets in high crime neighborhoods. Now, I was living in Missouri when the changeover happened there. Missouri didn't roll out their EBT program all at once. Instead, they implemented it a few counties at a time, starting in 1997. That was great news for me and my colleagues, because it allowed us to compare the counties before and after the change was made to see what happened with street crime. I'm not going to keep you in suspense. The implementation of the EBT program led to about a 10% drop in street crime. That's a pretty big drop. It was almost immediate. That's a pretty big drop. Very few initiatives, crime prevention initiatives, lead to any kind of 10% drop like that, right? Now, to put this in perspective, in Georgia, that would mean 8,700 fewer burglaries and 22,000 fewer thefts each and every year. And remember, the EBT program didn't remove all of the cash from these high crime neighborhoods, just some of it. Imagine what would happen to street crime if cash disappeared altogether. I don't know what's going on over there. They're building something. Anyway, as one street criminal recently tried to explain to me, Rich, if they get rid of cash, there won't be no way for the non-working man to make a living. That's a very Dickensian, right? I just, I love it. Anyway, the streets aren't a world of debit and credit cards, right? They just aren't, because electronic transactions are traceable. Cash, on the other hand, is uniquely liquid, anonymous, and most importantly, untraceable, which makes it perfect for crime. And you know what? You can see the relationship between cash and crime at work in other areas of the world too. For example, as a result of a series of loan defaults and steep inflation, Argentinians lost faith in the banking system and started carrying large amounts of cash around with them. Right? So there was more cash on the street, and with the Argentinian economy, it absolutely more insane to take that cash too. I don't think any of you out there in the audience are going to be very surprised to hear that robbery rates here have skyrocketed. Now, nearby in Uruguay, they instituted a so-called conditional cash transfer program for families living below the poverty line. Now, that program was a little bit different. What happened there was that they paid parents in return for keeping their kids in school and making sure that they got regular health care. And they paid the parents in cash, which meant there was more cash circulating on the streets in these poor neighborhoods. In many ways, this turned out to be a wonderful program. Kids stayed in school and they got regular health care. Unfortunately, robbery and theft rates there skyrocketed too, which is too bad. Interestingly, Brazil, which is right next to Uruguay, also instituted a conditional cash transfer program at about the same time, and yet experienced no increase in crime whatsoever. What was the difference? Brazil didn't pay the parents in cash. Instead, they deposited the funds directly into a bank account for them. The past 20 years has witnessed an unprecedented drop in street crime. Here's what that drop looked like in the United States. Notice it begins right in the middle of the 1990s, right? Just at the same time that the EBT program is being introduced across the country. I don't think that's a coincidence, right? But my question to you today is this: did crime really drop? Do you think it really dropped?
Hey, I want to just duly note, camera please. If you notice that in the 90s, it's another part of the series we're going to bring up, the rise of the false Christ. You start seeing a lot of weird, strange names and denying the name of Jesus start to come into play at the same time. That's when I came into the word in early 1990s. And then as I, continue my studies, I started hearing all these strange Messiah, at time Jesus cults rise up with all these different names. So we are in the last days. We are in the days where a lot of prophecy is in motion. I just wanted to note that because he had brought up the graph showing you cash as it went since how you started really using more cards and all that, and less cash. Crime started on this descent. He's going to tell you a little later on that the criminal's face actually changed too. It started looking like me and you. Anyway, it started looking more like them. Anyway, but the point is, we seeing prophecy in motion. That's why I call this phase 2. We watch it and we listening, y'all. So let's continue to listen to this guy. It's almost done here. Then we're gonna move to the chip part of this, okay?
The evidence suggests that the decreased use of cash and the increased use of debit and credit cards actually has been a double-edged sword when it comes to crime. On the one hand, it's definitely helped to reduce street crime. But at the same time, it's made cybercrime possible.
Right.
Think Target, think TJ Maxx, or think the mother of all cybercrime, Sony Pictures. All right? So what we really have here appears to be more of a crime shift, not a crime drop, right? In other words, the transition from cash to digital transactions has changed the nature of crime itself. And they're changing more and more all the time. But it's done more than that. It's also changing its offenders and victims, right? Now let me ask you out there in the audience, I gotta shade my eyes to ask this question here. How many of you have ever been robbed at gunpoint? Hands up. Hands up. Okay, one. I see one. I see one. Maybe two. Yeah, several. Okay, a few. I see a few. There's a few. Okay, let me ask another question. How many of you have ever had your credit card information stolen? Hands up.
Stop right there.
Yeah, there we go. The fact is,
and I want you to think about it. Have any of y'all been hit with identity theft because of the credit card? Somebody stole my information. This happened, well, that was like, I think I got hit up 2004. Listen to this, y'all. I got identity theft in Spain. I was like, what? I wish I could go to Spain, but yeah, I got hit identity theft in 2003. Somebody in Spain had extracted about $1,800 out of my account. And because when my payday showed up, I was looking like, hey, how I got a nickel? No. Anyway, so y'all know what happened immediately after I found out that all I had was a nickel on payday. You got any idea what happened? Anyway, but yeah, this thing, so some of you guys that are watching and paying attention, have you been hit?
that the real beneficiaries of the drop in street crime mostly aren't you and me. And that's because we didn't really experience that much street crime to begin with. Look how few of you have been robbed. Now, with the rise of the digital economy, right, crime victims are starting to look a lot more like the people in this auditorium. And you know what? So are the offenders. Street criminals haven't abandoned burglary, robbery, carjacking, and drug dealing for cybercrime. This is where we see the criminological impact of the so-called digital divide, with street criminals being left behind simply because they lack the technological sophistication and access to keep up. As the divide widens between the digital haves and have-nots, we're actually in the process of creating a new form of feudalism, where the poor are locked into place not only by a lack of money, but also by a lack of access to a new world of technological. It's weird to think of it this way, but essentially crime is a resource like any other resource. And the rich are in the process of stealing that resource from the poor, right? They really are. That's what they're doing.
Okay.
But declining cash isn't just changing crime.
Now I want to go through this one.
Ultimately, it's going to change crime, right?
This has nothing to do.
In a world without.
Now we want to go to this next video, just to show you what's going on. Then we're going to the chip portion. Okay, go back. Yeah. We're going to move into the chipping portion of this. We're going to move into the chip. One more video. And this guy, he kind of puts it, and this is on TV, on Flat Hour News, y'all. Some of y'all probably seen this already. I'm not giving something that's, copyrighted or anything like that. This is public information. And go to what it says. Okay. Scroll down. Yeah, this way. Go down. Watch this, y'all. Because this thing is snowballing at 100 miles an hour, and it's gobbling up society. And as I'm walking this whole series, piece by piece, the intent is we're building, we're going someplace with this. Each part, each segment of this phase 2
nothing
series.
to do
Here we go.
with cash, has nothing to do with keeping the black market off, has something to do with convenience, has something to do with neat little. Starting this summer, Philadelphia will mandate retailers accept legal tender, and City Councilman Bill Greenlee called it an issue of fairness. But others say much more cities such as New York, San Francisco, and Washington, D.C. are considering similar bills. So to break this down, what this means for our future economy, I bring in legal and media analyst Lionel. I have to ask you, did you even get a debit card, or are you still one of those that do you have a checkbook and cash that you pay everything in? No.
I just want to make the statement. This portion, we're going to make sure we roll and get the title of this, so we know what get our reference. Scroll down a little bit. Okay. The cashless society leads to enslavement. Okay. Now this guy, he's actually, I don't know if he's aware if he's seeing this thing in the book come to pass, but watch how he goes keen in, and then we're gonna go and get into the chip portion. So I wanted to just make sure we understood the title of this. Okay. So they got a bill they're trying to implement and get into in Congress where
is to have an e-wallet. This is about successive approximation, incremental steps,
back it up. Sorry.
and the habituation of society.
We're gonna replay a little bit. We're gonna back it up a little bit.
No, this has nothing to do with cash. Has nothing to do with keeping the black market off. Has nothing to do with convenience. Has nothing to do with neat little ways to have an e-wallet. This is about successive approximation, incremental steps, and the habituation of society to eventually having a chip, RFID, something placed in you. This is how we're moving. We start off with something innocuous about, we don't want those drug dealers to, oh yes, that's right, because you not being able to pay with cash at the drugstore is going to prevent the next El Chapo. It's the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard in your life. And then what happens is Amazon is doing its Amazon Go stores, where you walk in and you see what's interesting, Scott, is you don't have to take out your phone or your wallet. It just picks up the fact that who you are, and you can take stuff off the counter, off the shelf. This is great. You walk out and you love it. Then you don't have to worry about any kind of cabs or money or drugstore. And then eventually they're going to say you don't even need a wallet. And then we're going to say, you know what? Let's just really go, not only cashless, but stuffless, a phoneless, chipless. The moment, remember this, mark this, somebody put this in the museum. The moment that human beings in this country stand up and wait online to have an RFID chip placed in them, it is over because we become the chip. We are an organic molecule surrounded, basically, we're like a transmitter, surrounded by a carbon shell. We become the chip. And when that's, we talked last week about people being able to put implants. This has nothing to do with cash or convenience. It's about ultimately getting this inside here.
Okay. Well, now that you've just scared half of our audience, thank you for thinking that the doomsday is about to happen. Let's before we go to that, there's going to be the point that a lot of people are saying that the concerns are actually because we've been taking out the gold standard. Dollar bills can be printed off a printer way too easy. This is a better accountability form. My biggest concern, amongst others, but one of the ones that's the most pressing, is the fact that it's all computerized. And if my phone goes on the fritz as much as it does, we're in a computer that has all of our numbers. I'm one of those people that are almost scared of the bank sometimes, of whether or not they have a shortage or if they have a problem with their technology. Should be also concerned just to those that don't want to go ultimately to the doomsday scenario, that they're going, you know what, things can get hacked all the time. Technology, are we really prepared to go to a cashless society when everything can get hacked?
Let me ask you this one. Let's say that what's happening in Venezuela, in terms of this blackout, happens here. Let's say someday some nefarious bad guy hits us with some Carrington-class EMP, and where the grid is destroyed. And not only can we not get money out of the ATM, you can't get water or food. Oh yes, well spoken and well taken. But remember, ultimately, it's about putting this inside here, because we are the chip. Mark my words.
Well, coming soon to a theater near you.
All right.
Lyle's new scary movie might even be more scary than the Momo Challenge.
Okay. I'm going to read something here that I pulled off concerning privacy and biometrics, and then we're going to get to the news report, that one with my boy, yeah. That's on the morning CBS News they were talking about. I'm going to read this. This is for Privacy Act. Home.org, SOS.org. The biometrics nightmare coming to a street corner near you. Now, I'm going to read from this episode. Think you can escape the biometrics? matrix because you've never been arrested or because you are a U.S. citizen, you think, is it not so fast? Listen to this. While the U.S. government is currently collects the vast majority of biometrics through criminal justice systems, immigration, and military channels, the government is increasingly deploying biometric technologies that can and will ensnare all of us via U.S. criminal records and on the citizen status side. The government has been investing billions of dollars into projects that enable the incidental and stealth collection of our biometrics data. So this thing is not avoidable. That's how we know it's not the mark of the beast. Okay? Just to make sure we're very, very clear on this. And like this guy was saying, it's leading to a chip. This is book coming to pass, y'all. It's falling out in our face. We pay attention to the news. We get ready to bring up an article. Yeah, we get ready. We're waiting on this article, this video that we pulled up that came up on CBS Morning with my boy Michael Strahan on there. So, Good Morning America. Yes. So we waiting on that program. But let me continue to read this. The FBI has a fingerprint and face recognition system ready on every person now that's arrested in the U.S. And in recent decades, the DHS has millions of records of foreign-born people and visitors to the United States. The U.S. military has been capturing and storing biometric data on Iraqis, Afghanistan for nearly a decade now. The State Department maintains a biometric database of its own, which includes information on everyone who has ever applied for a visa to visit the United States or in recent years. All of this information is biometric. All of this information is on biometric data on U.S. persons, immigrants, visitors to our country, Iraqis, Afghanistan, will soon be retained in a joint FBI DOD database, okay, in West Virginia called the Biometrics Technology Center.
I love the big board.
Okay, now here we go. So here we go. Here we go.
At an office that could change the way a lot of Americans work, a tech company in Wisconsin is offering to implant tiny microchips into its employees.
Not just the chips could allow people to unlock office doors, make purchases. Rebecca, come on here.
So many questions about this, Robin and Michael. Good morning. We asked a lot of them. This is the first American company to ever try this. 1 week from today, many of the employees, including the CEO, will voluntarily have the microchips implanted into their bodies, and they're calling it, I'm not kidding here, a chips and salsa party. Oh. This morning, like a scene straight out of 007.
So you can keep an eye on me?
Employees at one Wisconsin tech company, 3 Square Market, willingly making that fantasy a reality, implanting their own bodies with microchips. What did the employees say when you brought this idea to them?
Half of them actually within 5 seconds says yes.
CEO Todd Westby, along with 50 of his 80 colleagues, even his wife and kids, preparing to implant these chips, the size of a grain of rice, between their forefingers and thumbs, so they can do everything from buy snacks in the break room to log in the morning to unlocking doors with just the swipe of a hand. What did it take to persuade the holdouts?
Basically, we had to explain to them there's no tracking of the information. It's not GPS or anything like that.
The radio frequency technology in the devices, approved by the FDA, will be inserted with a small needle by a licensed technician. Some internet experts warn that the convenience could come at a cost.
Many things start off with the best of intentions. Right.
But sometimes intentions turn. We've survived thousands of years as a species without being microchipped. Is there any particular need to do it now?
Participation is optional, and some.
Did y'all hear that? Is there any particular need to do it now? Sorry about that. Is there any particular need to do it? Notice that question, hey, why is there a particular need to do it now? Because we are living in end time prophecies where prophecies is in motion. The scriptures is moving off the page, y'all, into your everyday life. And if you ain't on board, you're going to get caught up. It's going to come and take you as a thief in the what? Night. In the night. So let's continue on. Go ahead.
The unknown right now, but many are excited to give the new technology a try.
I think it's kind of cool. Just pop it up there and it'll work.
Just pop it up there, it's that simple. So to give you a sense, here's a grain of rice. The chips will be inserted like this grain of rice right here between your thumb and your forefinger. And most of the employees have opted in. It is voluntary.
One size fits all, I guess. What happens if you get the implant and then you're like, I don't want this anymore?
So they told me, in case this happens, you pop it out. You literally push it out the way you would push a splinter out of your hand. Yes.
Okay.
Are you on board?
No.
Okay. Let's go to the next video by the child.
It happens in seconds. Moms and dads, you know that feeling. Your child gets...
Now, I want to pull this video up about children because mamas and their babies, daddies and their daughters. No, anyway.
Increasing missing people. The increasing missing
Yeah, with the increase of missing people, we're going to look at this video because now we're going from when biometrics is fully installed everywhere. Now we're going to see the chip, which is going to link you to your body. Now remember, we said somebody don't want the chip. They just push it out, right? So what did you just do if you push the chip out? You had just disconnected yourself from the what? From your car, your job, your bank account, probably your house, probably your refrigerator. You got these new smart freezers. You probably look. So who's willing to disconnect themselves from the grid that's unlearned, on wholesale on society? Who would want to do that? For those of us that reading this book, we're gonna be looking like, dude, yeah, about that. So let's look at this though. I'm gonna look at this because they're hitting at the hospitals. Babies getting chipped. They're gonna start trying to implement because kids being kidnapped or it's all, here we go. Let's let this video talk. We're gonna bring this up. I want to read the scripture right quick. Let's go to Luke 21 and 34. 21, so Luke 21 and 29. Luke 21 and 29. And the reason we're watching all this stuff is right here, y'all. We're finna read this right quick. Let's show that. Sorry about that. Luke 21 and 29. Read.
And he spake to them a parable. Behold, the fig tree and all the trees. When they now shoot forth, ye see and know of your own selves that summer is now nigh at hand.
So now he said, when you watch the trees at the coming of the seasons, that's why he said, behold the fig tree and all the trees, when they now shoot forth, you see and know of your own selves that some is now nigh at hand. This is why we got to watch prophecy. That's why we got to read books. That's why we got to keep our eyes open and look at what's happening and what is coming to fruition. Go ahead. Look what Jesus said. Go ahead.
So likewise, ye, when ye see these things come to pass, know ye that the kingdom of God is nigh at hand.
See, that's the reason why they're trying to close in into your privacy. This is one of the reasons why everything about you is either they already got it in biometrics, or they're going to get it. If you got a driver's license, most chance they probably got it. If you've been to the hospital, if you're on some Medicaid plan or some medical health system care, or your job, some jobs require badge in and badge out. It may be coming next month. Some may be next year. All these things are biometrics, y'all, because of what we see and know yourselves. So likewise, when you shall see these things to come to pass, know ye that the kingdom of God is nigh at hand. That's why you want your righteousness to be righteous according to what the Lord said. This is why we are adamantly striving to be Christ-like, because the kingdom of God is nigh. And we warning people and we beseeching people. Hey, look, things is coming down to, it's winding down. I ain't said I put a date on it, but then watch. He said, likewise, when you see these things come to pass, know that the kingdom of God is nigh at hand. That's how these things are happening. Continue.
Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled. And earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away.
That's why we stay on book. Okay? Go ahead.
Verse 34. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with suffering and drunkenness and cares of this life.
See, your heart be overcharged. You get consumed in all this stuff. Oh man, on my app, man, I got my whole life in the phone. I can do everything. I ain't even got to go to work. There are some employers that actually don't have an office. You are hired by your cell phone. The things you do on your phone, you making money. Straight up. People consume with all the conveniences. Oh, it's so nice. Oh, I ain't got to worry about cash no more. Oh, it's so convenient. So they get overcharged and surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life. Go ahead. So that what?
And so that day come upon you unawares.
So that day come upon them unawares. Go ahead.
For verse 35, for as a snare shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. Verse 36, watch ye therefore, and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man.
See, the watch and what? Pray. That's why we watching. So let's get ready to watch this. Okay, y'all, we watching. Okay, we doing exactly what this book said. Watch and pray that you be counted worthy to escape all these things that are coming on the earth. Go ahead.
It happens in seconds. Moms and dads, you know that feeling. Your child gets lost in a store, maybe just wanders off for a second or two. Your heart stops, though. Panic sets in, and you think the worst. It's happened to most of us, but what if you had a secret weapon, an extra layer of safety, so to speak? How far would you go to keep your children secure?
Would you be willing to microchip them? Experts tell us the technology already exists. Turns out one Bay Area mother is all for it, and she shared her story with our Melanie Michael.
Hey guys, good evening to you both. You know, chances are if you have a four-legged family member at home, it's already microchipped. And if the technology exists to save Fido in an emergency, what about microchipping your child? Before you say, no way, I would never do that, hear one mom's story.
It's the longest 2 seconds of your life, and it's absolute panic.
Oh, my son back!
We've seen it in movies.
Wait on my daughter!
Over and over again, children gone missing.
It's terrifying.
For Stephanie Rodriguez Neely, life is busier than ever, with 4 children, including a newborn. She knows scary situations can happen in an instant, and for her, it has.
If it'll save my kid, there's no step that's too extreme.
Stephanie's teenage daughter is a special needs child, prone to wander off and trust strangers. For that very reason, Stephanie wholeheartedly welcomes microchipping a child.
If a small chip the size of a grain of rice could have prevented a tragedy, I think most parents, hindsight would have said, I wish I would have done it.
But Stephanie is in the minority in her Tampa Bay Moms group, where other mothers call this too sci-fi and invasive.
You're putting a battery in your kid, you're putting a chip in your kid, and where does it stop?
Turns out the technology to microchip your kids has existed since the early 90s, but hasn't really caught on. Is it a little too science fiction for you?
Very much so.
A well-known technology expert out of Boston tells us microchipping poses little to no health risks and would act as a barcode of sorts.
Without question, it could save a life, reunite a family, find a missing Alzheimer's patient.
I always tell people, as long as you're doing what you feel is best for your child, you're not really wrong.
And guys, this is what we're talking about, the microchip. I don't know if you can see it in my hand. It's the size of a grain of rice, very, very small. And the expert that we spoke with actually tells us that barcodes were introduced in the late 1960s, and back then people thought, this is way too invasive and too weird, and now barcodes are so commonplace that we don't even think about them anymore. The expert tells us this will happen sooner rather than later.
Whoa!
Technology's been around since the 90s or whatever, but I mean, have companies actually tried this? That's a different scenario.
Two of them, as a matter of fact. Both of those companies ended up going defunct. They tried initial public offerings. It did not go through, but you can bet somewhere, someday, someone is going to pull this off, and we can see those microchips in everyone.
That's interesting to think about. Melanie Michael live in Tampa. Thank you for that report.
So now we're going to actually go to where it has been successful, and I'm going to go to this biochipping humans, biotech human microchip implants on CNBC. We try to use as reputable news agencies as possible so that you guys don't think, oh, yeah. Called biotech human microchip implants. Because this thing is in full play, y'all. They get the biometrics in play. Then next thing you know, the convenience of the chip. Oh, I don't even need my car keys. My babies are protected. I don't have to worry about losing my child. Get chipped. So now it gets very convenient. And next thing you know, like this one, I started to play this clip where this lady said, I have nothing to hide. That's what they were saying in the earlier video. We went all the way to the end. The lady had said, well, he said, well, if they know everything about you, he said, the government already knows everything about you. People say that. Not realizing that these are the shadows of the mark of the beast to come, that he wants everybody comfortable. Oh, we all show up at the Christmas party. Hey, what happened to Joseph? Why Joseph ain't here? Hey, wait a minute, that's one of those employees that's not chipped. Wonder why Brother Jacob ain't there. Oh, what is he? How come he didn't get his family chipped? Why not?
For decades,
So
many of us have arrived at WAC at 9 a.m. and then
listen to this. Are we ready? Yeah. We're gonna bring this up, y'all. This is a good thing to talk about on the Day of Atonement. Okay? Whew. Makes you further afflict your soul, because you let Lord that I may be counted worthy to escape these things. You want to be purged. Okay, cleansed. So we get ready to, are we ready to switch it over? Okay. Because this thing is happening. Just imagine the babies being chipped. Mamas don't want to lose their babies. Little children, so they growing up with a chip in them. Think about it. There's a generation coming.
No need for birth certificates.
No need, yeah, right. Wow. Eventually they're gonna figure it out. Yeah, no need for birth certificates because you chipped your child. Your child got all your information in them. So now you carry your birth certificate right there in the chip. So imagine you put that chip out. There goes your birth certificate. Wow, then you don't exist, you off the grid. Kid can't get into school, can't get on the school bus without a chip. How do you know you are who you say you are? How you gonna get into the refrigerator? How you gonna get into the house? How you gonna get into the how you gonna move about? Purchase, buy, and are we seeing the prophecy in motion, y'all? That's why I said this is phase 2. Trying to read just little script and a whole lot of watching. We watching and we praying that we escape this. Because I can play the audio if the videos come. Be a problem. Because they know what hit you in the hospitals, y'all. I remember when we was in California. Yeah, we went to with our daughter being born. That's 8 years ago, going on 9. And we went and looked up that thing, and we went to go to the registration office, right, y'all? So when we walked up to the registration office, they said, put your hand on this. And we like, put your hand on it. And they said, put your right hand. I was like, we looked at each other, and I know you're pregnant, but I know you ain't finna do that. Anyway, so we look at it like, what? They want you, it's called very palm readers, hand reader. They want to put your right hand on this palm reader. We're talking about at the hospital now. You know, I mean, you know, on the medical level. I mean, how many people gonna resist, you know, or buck against, you know, the alleviation of pain, or resist, you know, medical treatment. You say, hey man, please chip me. So if something happened to me, I can go to the hospital and ain't worried about my medical records. These conveniences, but it's striking society at the heart. That's why we see that Revelation 13 chapter. We see how he's going to be able to reach out to the small and the great, the rich and the poor, because everybody's going to be eventually trapped. And then it's going to come to a point where it's going to be a convenient thing to have that chip. Oh man, if I faint, you know, my medical records, and you know, it's right here. I don't have to worry about losing a credit card or losing a card. How many of y'all done lost the card? Oh, anyway.
We just want to play it. I have it listed right here. We want to see it, but
yeah. Okay, so we're gonna play it. We're gonna play it from here, from my phone here. Here we go. Get the video on up. Here we go.
Of work at 9 a.m. and then get done by 5 p.m. But this way of working is changing dramatically.
Last year, Wisconsin-based company 3 Square Market announced its plans to install right-sized microchips in its employees.
I'm on a mission to discover how the digital age is transforming the way we're working and how some companies are taking it to the extreme by microchipping the employees.
In the old days, coal mines broke the bodies of workers. But today, the gig economy is breaking our minds.
From the early factory jobs of the Industrial Revolution to the office-based jobs of today, workers have long been bound to an employer and a physical space, often for the entirety of their careers. But the nature of work is changing, and so is the workforce. Today's workers are more independent, entrepreneurial, tend to job hop, and want to work anywhere and anytime. Have you ever worked a 9-to-5 job?
No, never. Co-workers, they can come anywhere, anytime they want. We don't really care as long as they get the job done.
So experts are saying that this change is due to 2 main trends: the digitalization of both work and workers. So what does the digitalization of work mean? To find out more, I met up with Jeremy West at the OECD Forum in Paris. He researches the economic and social effects of internet openness.
The digital platform economy is something that makes it
easier for users who want to interact with each other to do that. So what it means is that there are a lot of new ways of work that we haven't seen before, and forms of work. Being an Uber driver, for example, or being a freelancer who uses an online platform to find a gig, a task that needs doing.
Estimating the size of the global platform economy is difficult, but one piece of research compiled 242 of these digital platforms and found to be worth a combined $7.2 trillion. And the top 7, the so-called super platforms, are worth $4.9 trillion, or 69% of the total worth of the platform economy. Because many jobs are migrating to these digital platforms, anyone with an internet connection and the right skill set can receive and take on job requests from around the globe. Those working here at the world's largest...
Notice, it's moving into a digital platform. And they're going to get to the chip. So once it's in the digital platform, you know, the days of going down and punching in the clock. Okay, that's going to be like, what? Punch the clock. Like old boy said, they asked him, did you work a 9-to-5 job? He's like, huh? No, I ain't never worked no 9-to-5 job. And if you've seen the video, you look well off. Because this is where it's headed, y'all, to the digital platform. Once they start dropping them chips in, if you ain't got no chip, what do you think that means to you? Are you connected? Are you viable? Are you relevant to society? Are you a productive citizen, active citizen? These are the questions and ethical thoughts that you have to be like, wow, what happens if I resist these things? And this is what's going to lead to the Great Tribulation period. People are not paying attention to this. Is why it is going to be a Great Tribulation period, because there's going to be resistance. We kind of heard a little earlier in the earlier video. Say, I don't want to do that. So you're going to have this great resistance rise up against this, the have and have nots, the chips and the chip nots. Okay, y'all, those that are into the chip party and those that ain't playing around with no chips. Hello? Anyway, we'll move right along. Let's continue to listen to this, y'all, because this thing is not a joke, and it is prophecy in motion.
The startup campus are just a typical example of how global this new world of work is. Many of the 1,000+ startups here in Paris are working with others across the world. In 2017, 24% of online freelance workers hailed from India. Bangladesh made up 16%, while 12% of these workers were from the US. And many industries are taking advantage of these online freelancers, from software development and sales support to writing and translation.
And that's why we're not seeing a lot over here in America. We're like 4th place. We're in 4th place is digital workplace. 4th. They said over in India, it is huge. You walk over there, you like, yeah, dude, what are y'all on? And you've been living in America, what, 20 years, 17 years? 25 years, some of us that's old heads, we walk over there, it's a different planet altogether. Why? Because the digital, India is swallowed up. And a lot of this overseas, like I said, we're 4th place in the world. Wait till we become number 1.
If workers are far apart from each other, then how are companies monitoring productivity? In a typical 9-to-5 office job, it's pretty easy for your boss to make sure you're working. But if you're working remotely, companies have to either trust that you're doing the task they're paying you for, or monitor you in a different way. That brings me to the second major change happening in the world of work, the digitalization of workers. So this means that they are being monitored digitally in order for companies to track their moves, their output, and their movement. Take Uber, for example. The ride-hailing company has been known to closely monitor drivers' working time, braking, and accelerating speeds, and more to detect unsafe driving patterns.
Surveillance can be a good thing. It's a bit like a knife. It can be used for good or it can be used for bad.
This is James Farrar. He's a former Uber driver who fought to access what data the company had on him.
This is the GPS trace for every job that I've ever done
James was able to access this data because of the European Union's General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR, a landmark piece of legislation passed back in 2018 to...
Now notice over in Europe, they got this ability to track you. The seat of the beast is way more prevalent over there than it is here. Oh, it's increasing over here. Don't worry. If you ain't been biometrically handled yet or been exposed to it, it's coming. Don't worry. It'll be here sooner than you later. Okay? So just in case you thinking this is something for, oh, man, that's on them, man. I ain't got to worry about that. All right? Keep living. Keep on living. Because it's happening.
Consumers take control of your data. That same year, James founded a non-profit organization called Worker Info Exchange to help other workers on digital platforms access the data collected about them.
What I've been doing through Worker Info Exchange is helping drivers access that data and then be able to turn the tables and say, okay, now we understand. Now we understand how some people are getting work and how others are not, how some people are being paid properly or other people are not being paid properly.
In a statement emailed to CNBC, Uber said that while its privacy team tries to provide data when requested, it is unable to do so under certain circumstances subject to GDPR. Tracking contractors through their smartphones could just be the beginning. The experts I spoke to say microchipping could be next. I am freaked out by this, but I'm more curious than anything else. So let's go speak to the brain behind this new technology.
Hiya.
Hey.
Nice to meet you. How are you?
Thank you. Biotech is a UK-based tech company that develops microchips as small as a pill, which can easily be inserted into our bodies to store data. Stephen Northam is the company's founder. He's showing me an X-ray image of the microchip inside his very own hand.
So we imagine 10, 15 years of time, this could be very commonplace. Could you have one chip replace keys, money, passport, and then you just leave the house just with your hand?
Once the 8 kilobyte chip is in your hand, it emits low-frequency signals read by a scanner that identifies the unique ID in the microchip. Stephen uses his microchip in the office, at home, and even to start his car, but he's not using it to monitor his employees. But microchipping employees is gaining traction. Take US company 3 Square Market as an example. As of last year, 92 of its 196 employees have been microchipped. 3 Square says employees can use the chip to pay for office snacks and to enter the building. But take it a step further, and chips could potentially track employees' lunch breaks, and if connected to a GPS, they could track their movements too. That's a red flag for the growing number of people concerned about the security of your personal data. But Stephen tells me they've already thought that through.
It can be easily read with a mobile phone. You can wipe the data, change it, you can encrypt it, password protect it. So from our point of view, it's probably more safe than having your data in the cloud because it's only in your hand, a memory stick inside your body.
The OECD says data is a critical resource and could globally drive economies of scale. But to truly realize those gains, instilling trust around that data is a must. And for that, it says governments need to put policies in place to protect individuals and their data. With the working world changing exponentially, only time will tell how these policies can adapt. Thank you so much, guys, for watching the video. Comment below and let me know how your working world has changed.
Yep, your working world. And you know how the book says, if you don't work, you don't what? You don't eat. He that provides not for his family is worse than a what? Infidel. So this is a major impact on each and every one of us. So, yeah, what I want to do now is bring this next video. Let's just bring that one. Wisconsin. Let's do one last one with Wisconsin. This should be one quick one, maybe. This is a company that's in play. Like I said, read a little scripture, but we're going to watch. We're watching a lot of this coming to pass. And we're just halfway through, y'all. This is a halfway mark. Next week we will be dialoguing on the dialogue table, talking about the chips, talking about biometric tracking. Here we go.
We think it's the right thing to do for advancing innovation, just like the driverless car basically did.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click.
So this company in Wisconsin is probably the first or one of many to come, y'all. So with that being said, we're going to conclude this segment and we're going to reserve other, for our dialogue table this week. Be mindful of that. That's coming up. We will post when that will be airing. And we want to discuss this with those of you that are concerned. Those of you that are aware of how this thing is coming down. And we want to warn others and open up a dialogue table about the shadow of the mark of the beast, y'all. This thing is coming full bloom. It's headed to a neighborhood near you. If it ain't in your neighborhood already, biometrics is present, y'all. And it is the beginning. That's why I said, why at this time, y'all? That guy asked, why at this time did they want to? We existed as a species without being chipped all this time. Why are we interested in getting chipped at this particular time in history? Because, my brothers and sisters, we are the end time prophecies. And this leg of it, we're in phase 2. For us, we are watching and praying that you be found worthy to escape all these things. So this concludes this lesson. And again, like I said, our dialogue table will continue on and we can talk about this some more. So that concludes this lesson or this part of our leg today, the shadow of the mark of the beast. All right. Amen. Amen. Like I said,